we will have Brother Tony Romans have the prayer for us, and I'll do the pledge.
Pray with me. Father, today as every day, we're grateful for your mercy, your grace, your love, your forgiveness. Father, today I pray that more than the gifts, we would desire the giver. And God, we know that it's your presence, it's your favor that raises up nations and pulls down nations. So truly, we believe, Father, today that your grace and favor on a county of people who love you and seek you is well within asking. So, Father, today we thank you for these who serve us here on the court, our commissioners and our judge. We pray your blessing on them individually and on their families. Father, we pray for those who serve us with risk of their lives, especially we ask for your protection for them and your blessing and goodness on them and their families as well. Father, today may your presence secure righteousness and justice, goodness from the hearts of your people. In Jesus' name we pray it. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. This regular meeting of the Henderson County Commissioner Court has been called to order on the 11th day of May at 9 a.m. Do we have any citizen comments?
Yes, we have one.
We have one, and that will be, they want to do that during the item that it pertains to. So we'll call on you whenever that item comes to. First item of business is to consider and take action on the minutes from the previously held meeting of Commissioners Court on May 4th, 2021. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Hearing none, I move we approve the regular session of Commissioners Court May 4th, 2021 as presented.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the previously held Commissioners Court on May the 4th, 2021. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business, number 2, is consider and take action on a refund request for overpayment of taxes for Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector. Lovely.
Good morning. I have 2 checks totaling $5,670.90 due to the customer paying the accounts twice with credit card.
So they overpaid twice with a credit card.
Yes, because it takes about 2 to 3 business days for us to receive the money, and we don't post to the account until we receive the funds. And then it takes about 24 hours for the account online to actually update. So they thought that it didn't go through.
So we're showing overpaid twice, but we're refunding it 2 times, so they pay 3 times?
Well, they had 2 accounts they paid.
Two accounts? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's 2 different accounts?
Yes.
Okay.
But the same customer.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to refund the overpayment of taxes.
I'll second his motion.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the refund request for overpayment of taxes for Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Number 3, consider and take action to approve a cell phone for the audit office for use with purchasing. Ms. Lee?
Yeah, we have a problem with the new purchasing receiving area down here. There is no phone, and so when the ladies are down there, they have to forward their phone to their personal phone. They can forward it, you know. So they're just really needing some ability to communicate down there without using their personal phones.
And this is still part of that law the legislature passed about us having to keep track of all text messages and
Text
everything.
messages, but more importantly for them, they don't have any phone down there and they get calls all day long.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve a cell phone for the audit office for use with purchasing. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, consider and take action on an interlocal purchasing agreement with the city of Granbury, Texas, to allow the city of Granbury to purchase radios and radio equipment under the Henderson County contract with L3 Harris. Mr. Davis, do you have any information on that?
I do. I just don't know. I reviewed the contract, but as you guys know, we have an agreement, purchasing agreement with L3 that states that other governmental entities can take part of the rates and the terms that we've negotiated as that part of this agreement. City of Granbury is a city that's reached out to us. They want to be able to buy from L3 under the terms and conditions and pricing, is really what that means, pricing of our contract with L3. And so in order to do that, they have to have an agreement with us to allow them to buy under those terms. And that's what this agreement is. I've looked at it and I'm fine with it.
And this is all coming apart through our new radio system that is going to be an interlocal, hopefully in the future, a statewide system.
Yeah, and we may have others. This may be the first of a many different, and again, I probably don't know as much as you do about it, Commissioner, because I know you've been a big part of that radio meeting, but I take it we got a pretty good negotiated rate on all of those radios. So what other cities are going to want to do is take advantage of our negotiated terms in our radio agreement and buy those radios at a lower cost. So we may have other counties, municipalities, governmental entities that want to do this also.
How long will governmental agencies be able to buy off our contract?
As long as the contract allows them to, as far as whatever the term, there's no time period fixed.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, we extended that contract out to 2022. So, and then I think it's a year after that. Do you remember?
There was a term afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't know the exact dates, but it was extended out. Our system is supposed to go on June, hopefully June 1st, weather permitting and all the other things permitting, but I know it's been a long process. Everybody that's been a part of the process and everybody that has dealt with it is ready for the system to go on. I think it's going to be a tremendous asset to the county. And as you can already see, we have other cities around the state coming to us, wanting to be part of our system and to use some of the advantages that we were able to pick up whenever we did the system, us being the first one in this area to go on this P25 system. So I think it's going to be an asset to the law enforcement and first responders in Henderson County and eventually the whole East Texas area. Are there any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
With the judge's signature?
Yes, sir.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the interlocal purchasing agreement with the city of Granbury to allow the city of Granbury to purchase radios and radio equipment under the Henderson County contract with L3 Harris with the judge's signature to approve. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 5, consider and take action to approve a water drainage maintenance release to perform work on property owned by property owners of leisure land located at 124 Shady Shores Drive in Precinct 2. Commissioner Tooley?
Yes, sir. We are doing some drainage work over in the Leisure Land subdivision, and I met with the POA president and another board member at Block 36, Block 10 of the Shady Leisure Land subdivision. I laid you out a picture of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be replacing a 24-inch culvert across our county road to a 36-inch culvert. And then somewhere in the 70s or 80s, somebody tied on a concrete drainage down beside the boat ramp, and we've asked them to dig that up so we can make a ditch to the lake. And we'll need to get on their private property to do it. Both the president and the other board member was okay with it because it's going to relieve some water drainage area across our county road on Shady Shores Drive. And so that's what the kind of the picture simulation is that I gave you, and we do have the water drainage maintenance release signed by the Leisure Land POA.
Clint, this is something we're able to do statutorily in these situations, isn't it?
Yes, and Commissioner Tooley had talked to me about this situation, and we've done it before. The last one was actually in Precinct 1 under Commissioner Thomas, and you know, it always goes back to as long as the prevailing interest is the county's interest. And so, you know, we always need to make sure when we do these, which again, I've explored this with Commissioner Tooley, and he told me this would be a benefit to the county, that we're not doing it for the primary benefit of the property owner, we're doing it for the county's primary benefit. And so most of the time, we're alleviating a condition that exists on our county roads or in our right-of-ways. So.
Any other questions?
And we have done this in Precinct 4 also, done some, going private property with some drainage issues.
Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I move we approve the water drainage maintenance release document to perform work on private property R56384, Block 10, Lot 36, owned by the property owners of Leisure Land Road located in Precinct 2 with the Commissioner's authorization to sign.
I'll second his motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the water drainage maintenance release to perform work on property R56384 owned by the property owners of Leisure Land located at 124 Shady Shores Drive in Precinct 2 with the Commissioner's authorization to sign. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Court.
Number 6, consider and take action to approve interlocal cooperation agreement between Henderson County Road and Bridge Precinct 3 and the City of Brownsboro. This one is mine, and this is our regular interlocal agreement that we do with the cities throughout the county. It's a 3-year agreement, which ends at the end of this term, and it is a $5,000 a year services provided. We provide the service and the equipment, but the cities have to pay for the materials if we use any sort of material. And we do this work whenever we are able to do it and are not doing other county work. Are there any questions?
It's a one year, 2 year.
This is a 3-year that ends with the end of this term, my term. Can I make that motion, although I'm presiding, or do I need somebody to make that motion?
We'd probably have somebody else.
Would you have to make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between Henderson County and the city of Brownsboro for 3 years.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the interlocal agreement between Henderson County Road and Bridge Precinct 3 and the city of Brownsboro. Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes. Number 7 is an interlocal agreement between the Henderson County Road and Bridge Precinct 3 and the city of Chandler. And this is the same agreement between Henderson County Precinct 3 and the city of Chandler. Same terms, same monetary value.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we consider and take act, that we approve the interlocal agreement between the Henderson County Road and Bridge Precinct 3 and the city of Chandler with the commissioner's signature to approve. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 8, consider and take action on the variance for Kickapoo Creek RV Park and Campground LLC. And we have a speaker that wants to speak on this subject, Ms. Christy Duval. Would you come forward and state your name and address where the clerk can get that down?
Good morning. My name is Christy Duval, and my address is 19801 State Highway 31 East. And I'm the owner of Kickapoo Creek RV Park and Campground.
Would you just give us the information that you can provide us for this?
Yes, absolutely. Kickapoo Creek was legally filed with the state of Texas on July 25, 2020. The first date that we broke ground for the campground was July 29th, 2020. And if you will notice, I have some packets available for you where you can also find this information. What I'm requesting today is that we were only just a couple of weeks from opening our campground, and we were notified by the county inspector that he had to inspect our septic and that we were not able to open because there were some ordinances that had been filed with the Commissioner's Court, I believe in February. We were not aware of this at the time. We had already gotten to the point where we were about to open. So I was not aware, like I said, and so what I'm requesting today is for approval for the first phase. This includes 12 RV spaces with the availability of up to 36 in the future. The property is 5.3 acres. It is on our private property. We actually live on the property, so we're not asking any assistance from the county. Presently, we have the electric, the water, the roads are installed. Drainage has been considered. Basically, all of the regulations that were already in the ordinance, we had already taken care of. So that's what I'm requesting today, is for not necessarily a grandfathered in, but for you to take us into consideration as far as opening without the going through the ordinances that were put forth in February.
And according to what you're asking for, it looks to me like everything was done properly except for the ordinance on the road. So that's what you're asking for the variance for, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Is to have the base material but not have the asphalt covering on the road.
At this time.
And that's the variance you're looking for?
Yes, sir. In the future, we do plan on asphalting the roads. It's just a budget issue at this point. We're self-funding. So that's where that request comes forward.
Okay. Is there potentially a phase 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because this variance would apply to only phase 1.
Understandable.
If approved. Another question. Myself and the county attorney rode by and looked at the property. It does have an ingress and an egress, an in and an out.
Yes, sir.
It is a piece of property that does have those stipulations available, even though the road is not very long. But Clint, the county attorney, do you have any information for us?
I don't know, I always have stuff to say so when asked. So, no, first of all, I want to let the court know, and I'm glad Ms. Duval pointed out that it's really not a grandfather, so I want to make it clear that I really don't. I know I've talked to Commissioner McCam about it, but I don't like the use of a grandfather clause because this is not a grandfather case. A grandfather case is a term that we use, it's a legal term, but it ties back to property usage. And in order for something to be legally grandfathered, it has to be already used for the intended purpose of the ordinance that was passed. And so in this instance, it would have already had to have been in use as an RV park. And so as an example, any existing RV parks that are out there, our ordinance by law cannot retroactively apply to those to make them upgraded and bring it into standards. The problem the Duvals have is this property wasn't already being used as an RV park. I appreciate the fact that you've provided, they formed their LLC back over a year ago. And have you already handed them the packets? Did y'all each get one of these?
I have one.
Okay. And if you don't have, but she has provided where they did form the RV Park LLC. Naturally, I can't turn to it right away. Do you remember that date?
Yes.
Christie?
I believe it's the July the 25th, 2020.
Yeah, July 25th, 2020, which we have a copy of that she provided. They provided some other stuff about their Facebook page has been up and running and about that long. And so what it comes down to is really this is an equitable argument. It's not a legal argument from a grandfather standpoint. It's an equitable argument. And when you guys hear the legal term equity, what you should interpret that to as a fairness argument. You know, is it fair that they had already had gotten this far in the process, and then we changed? And again, there's some arguments that it is fair. You know, if I were to point out the arguments that it is fair is, you know, we had workshops on the ordinances that we passed. We solicited input. We solicited information. We had people that were developers looking at putting into RV parks that showed up for the workshops. And again, I'm not saying that trying to sway the court not to grant the variance. I think given the size of this RV park, you know, this is not, some of them that we've looked at, and I hope the Duvals understand, this is not we don't approach this and look at it as the Kickapoo Creek RV. You know, we look at it as whatever we do here today could set the stage for what we do next week or who we have come in the door next week, next month. And, you know, we've had some developments that had proposed RV places with hundreds of RV spots. And so obviously, and I know Commissioner McCam and I have talked about this, that, you know, from time to time, we may be willing to consider variances on smaller RV places, such as a 12-spot RV park, that might be different standards than what we would expect if you're putting in one that has 100 spaces or more. So it is at the discretion of the Commissioners Court, which is why we put it on the agenda for the Commissioners to decide. I think Commissioner McCam said right, one of the biggest assets that you guys have is the fact that you do have an ingress and egress. That's one of the big things that we spent a lot of time in those workshops and meetings talking about is a point of entry and a point of exit. I know this one's small. You might have been able to do without it, but that's a good thing. Everything else seems to be laid out right. She's using a septic inspector. She used Glenn Vest was your electrician that did all the electricity work out there. I mean, everything else seems fine except for the oil top and the asphalt on the road. So I think if the court's inclined to approve the variance, what I would hope we could attach to put in the minutes would be actually a copy of this single page. I don't think we need to put the whole packet of her pictures, but we could accept this as the plat or the map. I had talked to Ms. Duval about providing us a plat or a map of the RV park, and we actually record this in the minutes as to this is what the variance would apply for. And that would mean that if you got ready to go forward with the phase 2 or 3, you would need to then probably address it, which again, for the most part for you, it would be the issue of the roads when you got ready to expand to make sure the roads were nice and asphalt. The last caveat that I will throw out, and I'll let the courts know and the Duvals know, all of this may change. A lot of you guys know that the legislature's actually got a bill pending in the legislature that would remove the county's ability to regulate RV parks, period. And I think that's important. I hope we have some of the public listening, because I spend a big part of my day listening to people complain about why we have certain unattractive neighborhoods and unattractive situations in our county. And a lot of times the answer to that is we are a political subdivision of the state of Texas. All of our powers come from one place, and that's the legislature. And what the legislature is continually doing is removing powers from us. And on this issue, there's a bill pending now that would remove our ability to regulate RV parks. So if that passes, then all of this will go away, and you can do what you want on your phase 2 and phase 3. But we'll see if that bill comes out. But with that, I'll answer any questions that you guys have.
The paperwork that they provided us with, I know some of it's around here. Do y'all need Commissioner, you need one?
No, we're good.
But as far as I can tell, they did pretty much everything we asked for in the ordinance, you know, on the planning and the drawing and the electrical work. And what I was, when I drove by, was pleased with was that they did have even though the size of it is not that big, they did have a ingress and egress.
It fronts a state highway. You'll probably have gathered that, and I'm sure if you guys have driven to Chandler anytime at all, you've got the Rock, it is the Rock, right?
Yeah, Rock Hill.
Rock Hill Church on the right, and then just this side of Rock Hill Church on your right on the left. And what you will notice before you notice the Duvall's residence is the state usually has a mountain of road materials that's piled up out there in front of their residence, and that would actually be in front of where this RV park is. And so it comes off of a state highway, so we don't have any issues there as far as accessing it from county roads. Really the only thing would be that the stretch of road oil topping. I'm pleased to hear that if y'all can get up and running, that you hopefully have plans to come back and lay down some asphalt. Sounds like they may end up becoming in compliance anyway. But and again, there is a legitimate fairness, argument to this. Just the fact that they have invested time and money into getting it up and running, and the changes. But again, you do have some discretion, and it's up to the court as to what you guys want to do.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
All of our electric and our water, we did over and above what would need to be. In other words, the electricity, we only have 6 breakers, which it could accommodate up to 12 on one pedestal. And also the water, we purchased an extra large meter, which we paid a crazy amount of money for, so that it will accommodate up to 36 spots, which we only have 12. So just to let you know, we've done everything that we could do in order to make the stay of the residences safe and enjoyable.
And they are on a community water. I don't know if either one of us mentioned that, but this is a community water system, so the water issue is not an issue either.
And what about the septic? Are they on sewer or septic?
Septic, they will have septic tanks, and they have a licensed septic inspector that would be putting those in. And that's the only reason it came up is James Bailey went out because the septic inspector had actually contacted, again, did exactly what he should do. He contacted the county septic inspector and said, hey, I need a permit to install the septic systems. James Bailey went out, looked at the fact that it was an RV park and what they were doing, knew about the new ordinances on the other side, and said, I can't give you a septic permit because the RV park's not permitted. You're going to have to go to the commissioner and get it. And that kind of started the process with them talking to me and Commissioner McCann.
Is this like a recreational RV park, or are you going to let people live there with their RVs?
Well, there are certain regulations. For example, you wouldn't want anyone necessarily to live over 180 days. Primarily, that is avoid squatters. It keeps things clean, and it also ensures that when people come in, that their RVs are licensed and registered. You definitely want that when they check in. So there are certain stipulations that will be in the contract that they sign. We will have a security gate, so it will be somewhat private. We hope that will, it's not meant for people just to kind of flow through. It'll be by appointment only. However, there will be a limit on the amount of time that someone can stay.
Yes. It was just a personal question.
And Ms. Duval, y'all live right there next to it.
Yes.
Are you planning on moving, or are you planning on?
If we just have 40 spaces going, we're going to police. But at this moment, no, we're planning on living on site.
Just to point out, and again, their house is, I hate to guesstimate distances, but I would say less than 2 or 3 football fields. I mean, you can see the RV park sites. You could see their front door to their house. So from that standpoint, provides us a little comfort, and hopefully how they want it kept, appearance-wise, because it literally will be in their side yard, if not their front yard. I've talked to Ms. Duval about this when we first talked, and y'all know, but again, I'll repeat it for the sake of everybody listening. A lot of times when we look at these, we're not worried about what the Duvals do with this, but you understand, we approved this variance, and for whomever the Duvals want to sell this property to, now they are grandfathered in, and a lot of times it's not the person presenting it to the court asking for it. We have to look at what are we creating down the line by allowing this.
Are there any other questions?
What legality do we as the court have for them to do, and I'm a big proponent for personal property rights, but them doing the next phases, could we do something that says that before they start their next phase?
I think they would have to anyway. That's why I said, I think that when we file, and again, what I would propose if the court's inclined to approve a variance, one is whoever makes that motion, we do a variance to allow a 12-spot RV site, and then we file with the minutes of court a copy of the map or the plat to where we will show exactly which 12 sites we have issued a variance for.
No, what I'm saying is to get this road done before they expand to 24 to 36.
Well, and let me keep going. So I think so I think the way that would work out is, I think that we would take that into consideration at a point in time where they did come back. So again, if they called and wanted a septic system to add 12 more spots or anything like that, then what we should have is the same process happen. Is, of course, now they know that in order to add sites, they should come back to the court and go through the approval process for that expansion. And then I think that's something that the court would consider at that time. The court could look at the existing 12 sites and say, how are those sites being operated and managed and utilized now? Are they being clean and kept up nicely? We're not getting, dozens of sheriff's department calls out there. It's not a nuisance RV park. It's a well-established, nice-ran RV park. What's the condition of the roads on those 12 sites? Did they go in and update them? I think that would be more consideration for the court. I would hope that they're doing well enough, if the court includes this, that when they come back for the 12, there's not an issue of a variance. I would hope they would come back and say, hey, we've done so well on the 12, we're going to add another 12, and we're doing everything that you guys want us to do. We're coming in and asphalting the roads from the beginning, and there won't be a request for another variance. But I think that's something you would take up at the time of whatever next request you had, not necessarily tie them to it today.
Would you, is the septic system that they're going to do, is it just supporting these 12 lots? And then you'll have to have another septic tank for the other ones? Okay.
And I think whenever we were discussing all this, when we made the ordinance, part of the discussion was some of these smaller RV lots, we were going to have some people come in and ask for variances on. mainly roads, because that's what the expense is when you put in these small lots.
And they have the base rock in, I mean, they did haul in the base rock.
is there.
So really, it would just be coming in and overlaying it. I think our regulations, we went up from 1 inch and required 2-inch hot mix on top. But you guys know what that would probably cost to go in and lay down 2 inches on top, so. I'm sorry, did you have something else?
I was going to tell you, at this time, we've got approximately 8 to 10 inch thick of base material that we brought in specifically for the roads.
Are there any other questions? Can I get a motion?
Board, I'd like to make a motion to accept the variance for the Kickapoo RV Park. To allow them on the 240-foot section of roadway to be non-paved for the Phase 1 section.
I'll second his motion.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Motion has been moved by Commissioner Richardson and seconded by Commissioner Spivey that we grant the variance for Kickapoo Creek RV Park for, what did you say?
240 foot.
240 foot of roadway, not to have to be overlaid with 2 inches of asphalt in the Phase 1. All those in favor of this motion? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Number 10, receive financial reports. And we do have the combined JP financials in our packets. Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
No. We don't motion those, we
Do we not have to make a motion to accept them? Okay. These will be available if you need to review them in the clerk's office. Number 11, consider and take action on submitted contracts. We have no contracts. Number 10, consider and take action on distribution and accounts cash sheets. We have none of those. Submitted contracts, we have none of those. Consider and take action on a request for right-of-way permits. No right-of-ways. Consider and take action on submitted budget amendments. No budget amendments. Number 14, consider and take action on payment of bills. We always have those.
Yes, we have those for this morning. I need approval on bills totaling $425,843.25.
Are there any questions on the bills?
No, sir.
Commissioner Spivey?
No, sir.
Commissioner Tooley?
No, sir, I have none.
Commissioner Richardson?
No questions.
If there are no questions, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the bills for 2021 in the amount of $425,843.25.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to pay the bills for May the 7th, 2021 in the amount of $425,843.25. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Or all those opposed? Motion carries. Consider and take action on submitted plats. There are no plats. Open and consider bids. No bids today. Consider and take action to it. Well, just wait. Consider and take action to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?